when it came to the county judge executives, I wasn't able to find any more than just the recent modern history. But I wanted to mention a few things that I was able to find. So you do have, so the ones that we know, George Zubeidi, we have Kenny French, Ken McFarland, and Clarence Davis. So you have Clarence Davis who's in there for 20 years, and then you had George Zubeidi who was in there for 8 years, and then you had let's see, Clarence Davis, George Zubeidi, then Kenny French for 4 years, and then Ken McFarland for 4 years. So I don't know. I would have liked to have actually seen the beginning one, so that way we can have a better sort of, a comparison, so we can understand more of a continuity. But a lot of times 200 years ago is just too far removed that nobody actually understands what's going on. So those are the four judge executives, and we the people determine, their legacies. And being there for 20 years, you'd think that there have been more things that people talk with Mr. Davis, and there's I don't know. I mean, there's lots of industries, and a lot of people try to, they all seem to compete. Well, no, I'm the one that brought Dorman in. I'm the one that brought the Speedway in. I'm the one that brought, and those are like the highlights are the big business, and really big business is going to sit in, whether we like it or not. Then you can try to solicit them and try to give them tax breaks and whatnot. But if somebody wants to come here, that's their business, and that's what they're going to do. There's talk about an airport, right? If an airport gets here, it would be the private people that did it. It's not exactly the judge. So I don't know. I still think it's a good conversation. Compare one to the other. What was the best legacy? What did they do? And what can we expect for the future judge executives? So I googled all four of those folks' names, and I just found some information out, just random information in no particular order, and really um, no real like point. Basically I just Googled Clarence Davis, and I found several articles about him. I Googled George Zubeidi, found some articles about him, and there wasn't much information actually for any of these folks. And so, okay, here goes. So Gallatin judge executives. There's Park City Daily News, January 16th, 1976, in Burlington, Kentucky. There's counts against Gallatin judge are dismissed. So there's Clarence Davis. He had some traffic charges. Okay, so here's the story. He was including a charge of driving while intoxicated. So, Clarence Davis is driving drunk, but they dismissed it on a technicality by Boone County Judge Bruce Ferguson. So I don't know if Bruce Ferguson is just, likes him and just helps him out or whatever. Maybe because he's a judge executive, so you don't want to, shame him. But this is 1976, so this would have been early into his tenure. Let's see, if we did the math, 12, so that's like, Clarence Davis has been, judge for long ass time, then probably what, till 96 or so? So this would have been like as soon as he got into office, right? As soon as Mr. Davis got into office. So 76, that's 6 years before I was born. So the traffic charges against Gallatin County Judge Clarence Davis, including a charge of driving while intoxicated, have been dismissed by technicality by Boone County Judge Bruce Ferguson. Boone County Patrolman Marvin Smith, who arrested Clarence Davis November 16th, was scheduled for trial in Gallatin County Court Friday on counter charges brought by Davis. Bruce Ferguson said, however, that he understands the charges against the police officer will be dropped by Special County Gallatin County Judge John Lane Ackerman at Warsaw. Assuming that they drop his charges, right? I'm gonna charge you with some crap, and then you're gonna charge me. So that's what happened. So you got Clarence Davis is driving drunk, and then you have Boone County cop Marvin Smith who's chasing him. And this is a wild story. I don't know if this actually makes him look worse or better in my eyes. Growing up, actually, I did live with a person who went around just talking mad shit about the clique. That's what he said. The clique. There's the clique. And they're the ones that run everything. The clique. So Marvin Smith is the Boone County police officer. He turns on the sirens on Mr. Davis when he was in Boone County, and then Clarence Davis fucking hightails this shit, and he goes on down to Gallatin County. So Bruce Ferguson said, however, he understands. Okay, we already went through this. So Marvin Smith said that he chased Davis's car at speeds of 120 miles per hour. So Clarence Davis is booking it. He's like, fuck you, I'm gonna get away from your ass doing some Dukes of Hazzard shit, right? He's, and it says that they put a charge, so, you allegedly. But you see, if you're able to drive 120 miles per hour, so you're evidently, you're not that drunk. You got to pay attention. 120 miles per hour on 42 is no joke. I guess that's where it said that, or maybe it was on 40 or 71. So Marvin Smith said he chased Davis at speeds of 120 miles per hour across the county line. Marvin Smith said he struck Clarence Davis on the head with a flashlight when the Gallatin County judge resisted. So he's trying to put him under arrest, and then, Clarence Davis is like, fuck you, and then he hits him on the fucking head. Okay, right? So, again, the police oppression is sort of pushing Clarence Davis to do shit he really wouldn't want to do. I'm sure he doesn't want to, have to fight this guy. This motherfucker hits him on the head with a fucking flashlight. Like, fuck you. And, so the charges of reckless driving and driving without a license were filed against Clarence Davis at the same time. Marvin Smith said Clarence Davis charged Smith with assault and official misconduct. So they got competing claims against each other, right? So Bruce Ferguson said Marvin Smith erred when he brought Clarence Davis back to Boone County to file the charges, and therefore that's why it was dismissed, because the law required the officer to take the prisoner to authorities in Gallatin County to file charges. Well, the problem with that is that Clarence Davis is the authorities there, and that's his people, so it actually does make sense to go to Boone County, but it just sounds like some bullshit technicality just to, let's just get rid of this whole matter. We don't want to ruin you, let's just, who gives a shit. So that's January 16th, 1976. There's another story about Queen City Barrel. I'm not really sure about the details. January 19th, 2001, from the Cincinnati Enquirer. Man 65 pleads guilty. This is family. So a member of Ondas Davis, so a member of his family, had 50.62 grams of methamphetamine. This is 2001. This is 12 years ago. And so he's, there's meth, right? One of the family of the Davises had meth. Ondas Davis, 65, of Glencoe, could get 5 years in prison when he is sentenced April 19th in U.S. District Court. 5 years in prison. He appeared in court Thursday morning when his trial was set for Monday, but Mr. Davis decided to plead guilty later in the day. According to federal court documents, he told an FBI informant he could sell him some white stuff and crystals for $1,200 an ounce, or $300 for an 8-ball. The complaint said that on October 11th, the informant gave Mr. Davis $2,200 in marked $100 bills while under surveillance. The informant then received 50.62 grams of meth. And then Ondas Davis was arrested the next day. His brother's former Gallatin County Judge Executive Clarence Davis. Now this is, this is the war on drugs. Again, this is some bullshit. If we didn't have the war on drugs, it wouldn't be so profitable to be selling meth and to be selling drugs. But because we have the war on drugs, you can chance, selling drugs for a long time. You might get hit up or something, might have to serve a little jail time, but in the meantime, you're going to be making bank. You're going to be making some shit ton of money. Hell, watch Traffic is a good-ass movie, but if you can get one truck into America from Mexico that has, all the drugs, you will be fucking set for life. That's all you need to do. And if you're a poor person, why wouldn't you try to do something like that? So that's not really Clarence, but it's family, and I think I met on this, and I think I like him. I think if it's Hargis's father, but I'm not for sure actually how any of these folks are really related or tie into Gallatin County. Like I said, I was born in Gallatin County, right? Raised in Gallatin County, but I was in a hillside. I was a fucking hillbilly on the fucking, in Montgomery Road out in the middle of fucking nowhere. So that was my perspective of Gallatin, and that was a very tiny perspective, and it was horrifying and scary and isolated and traumatic, and very traumatic. So on July 15, 2004, Helms went to the office of the Judge Executive of Gallatin County, Kentucky. Defendant appellee George Zubetti to voice her concerns about the proposed county payroll tax. When she arrived at the office suite Zubetti shares with several other county officials, Helms learned that from his receptionist, Mrs. Chipman, that Zubetti was out of town at a conference and would not return that day. Chipman, who has known Helms for a long time, agreed to let Helms sit down and stay in the office. Helms launched into a criticism of the proposed tax, complaining of the hardships it would impose on everyone working in the county and calling Zubetti a lying son of a bitch. He's a lying son of a bitch. Chipman testified that Helms was just kind of worked up, kind of a little bit more and more as he talked. Defendant appellee Winslow Baker, who shares an office suite with Zubetti in his capacity as zoning and planning administrator, returned from lunch several minutes later while Helms was discussing the tax with Chipman. He testified that as he walked through the reception area to his office, he heard Helms say that she was going to move into that office. We were going to have to feed her and clothe her there, and she wasn't going to leave. His testimony is corroborated by Chipman's statement that Helms told her she was just going to homestead until she got her $70 back. So I guess she was taxed $70 and she wanted to get her money back for some reason. Not long after his arrival at the office, Baker heard Helms call Zubetti a son of a bitch. He walked into the reception area and asked Helms to leave, telling her she was disrupting the office. Baker testified that her behavior prevented him from making and returning phone calls about zoning and planning matters, and that he asked Helms to leave because her complaints got pretty loud at times. He thought they could conduct business later if she would leave. When Helms refused to leave, Baker called 911. So you have this old lady going into the office complaining about $70 that she was charged, and she's really mad about it. She doesn't like it, right? She's like, I'm just going to stay in this office until you do something about it. Man, this is badass, okay? This is such a badass story. Zubetti, I don't know really what they did and how they conducted themselves and what their strengths and their weaknesses are. This is a badass story. I fucking love Marie Helms, and I don't know shit about her fucking politics, but this is when Americans were Americans, right? This is when people say, I'm going to stand up and do what it is I want to do, or do what it is that I think is right, even if people don't think it's right at the time. So this is July 15, 2004. This is 9 years ago, and since Marie Helms has died. And so Baker testified that he couldn't do his work. He tried to get her to leave, and they called 911. Right. And they reported that they had a disruptive person in the judge's office. Then they informed Marie Helms that he called the police. And so this is Baker. Winslow Baker? Says his name, Winslow Baker. So Winslow Baker gets all scared, or he's the one that pushes the issue, right? She was invited, the lady had said that she could stay in. Mrs. Chipman said that they could stay in. So he calls 911. And he informed that Marie Helms, he called the police. Defendant appellee Officer Brent Caldwell responds to the 911 dispatch, and arriving at the office soon after Baker's call found Helms still sitting across from Chipman. Baker informed Caldwell that Helms had been asked to leave the office because he was unable to conduct his course of work. According to Caldwell, Chipman indicated that the disruption was about the payroll tax. When Caldwell asked Helms to leave, she informed him that the Attorney General told her that she had every right to be within a public building. The Attorney General says she has a right to be in a public building. So, that's pretty fucking substantial. That's substantial. He's the main fucking arbitrator of the law. And if he actually did say that, that should have been presented into it. I mean, if she's just claiming it, it's not true, I don't know. Right? So if he actually said it, maybe he should have fucking intervened. So he says that the Attorney General says that she could be in a public building. Officer Caldwell told Helms that she was absolutely correct until she was asked to leave. You're allowed to be in a public building until you're asked to leave. When I tell you to leave, you gotta go. That's just how it is, right? I'm a cop. You gotta do as the fuck as I say. I mean, I just killed a fucking homeless dude a couple of years ago, and now you think I'm gonna let some old lady tell me, how to run shit? I don't think so. So, and it is tax, I don't know. It's a weird thing, because, if Zubetti was in the office, then, she's stopping him from working, but if she's in the office by himself, just shut the door. I don't know why you have to, let her get under your skin or get on your nerves. Maybe she's, yelling and carrying on and shit. So, he says that, but Marie Helms says that the only way she'd be living is if Brent Caldwell put her in handcuffs. And that's when he did. So Brent Caldwell told Helms he would rather not arrest her and asked her again to leave, right? He's just being so nice. Marie Helms refused. Brent Caldwell arrested her, charged with criminal trespass in the second degree, and under KRS 511070. So on January 4th, 2005, a jury acquitted Marie Helms of criminal trespass. So they got a jury overpeers, and they acquitted her. You're not fucking criminal. You're not criminal. Amazing, okay? Fugitive slave act back in the day, this is what juries do. If something is bullshit, then the juries can say that's bullshit, and they don't have to fucking throw somebody's life away, right? They don't have to throw somebody in jail just because. And they acquitted her on January 4th, and in the second degree, right? They acquitted her of criminal trespass March 23rd, 2005. Marie Helms filed a lawsuit claiming that the criminal case was prosecuted against plaintiff by defendants in an attempt to intimidate her from speaking against matters of public concern. Complaint named Zubeidi and Baker as defendants, both individually and in their official capacities for the county. So, Marie Helms, Marie Helms is a badass.